Hello everyone and welcome to another video of the Sky channel. Now in this video I'm going to be talking about the recommendations for the talent pool for Stag Beetle and Jumping Spider. These are your guardian insects. Now there are some things that I'd like to cover before I get started, but if you have watched the video on Devil Flower and Emperor Scorpion's recommendations for the talent pool, you could skip this part because it's going to be fairly repetitive and I don't want to bore you. But if you haven't, I think it's important for you to know what I'm going to say next. So the first thing is that I am going to cover primarily below level 39. That's because both of these insects are either going to be held as main insects for free-to-play players or very light spenders who decided to buy the insect pack. And for light spenders and free-to-play players, getting beyond level 40 is a distant dream, at least it is for me, because you need to have 2 level 20 other insects before you can go past level 39. So I'm assuming a very large audience is not really going to care about what the talent should look like beyond level 40 because it is going to take a long time before we get there. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this is one recommendation for the talent pool, but it does not need to be the only best way of doing it. You could have another way and that works very well for you, and that is perfectly fine. Now you could easily try this, and if you don't like it, you could easily switch back as well. And that's why we have this here. There's this item that you can use, resetting talent seaweeds. You can see I have a lot of them. They are particularly cheap to get. You only need to spend 30,000 diamonds to get 10 of them, and you can switch out your talents and assign them somewhere else. So if you don't like the recommendations or if they don't work for you, simply you could switch them back to what they were before. So that's important for me to mention. The last thing I want to mention before we can get started is that the Jumping Spider and the Stag Beetle have the exact same talent pool. There is no difference in their talents, so what I'm recommending for one, you could do for the other. There's no difference. So let's get started on their recommendations. I'm going to break these recommendations down into two different ones, and there's a good reason for that. Now, one of the recommendations is going to be if you have the Stag Beetle and or you have an ant that provides healing to other ants. The other recommendation is going to be if you do not have the Stag Beetle and you're using the Jumping Spider and you don't have any ants that heal either. And the reason for that is because there's this talent that becomes very beneficial if you have some healing effect that can be triggered. So for the first one, we're going to start with the assumption that you do have healing in your unit, and I'm going to recommend your talents based on that. And of course, as I mentioned before, we're going to focus below level 40, right? So there are two places where I'm assuming a lot of our players are going to be stuck at. It's going to be level 39 and level 34. I'm stuck at level 34, so we're going to start with the level 34 recommendations. So at level 34, you have 48 talents to assign. And right now, I'm assuming that you have healing in your unit. I want us to try and get this effect because it's extremely helpful if you have healing. So what it does is that for any guardian, whenever a guardian squad is healed, you have a 50% chance to increase attack by 5%. And it's stackable. That's amazing. And by the way, this is at level 1. So at level 8, it's going to be 40% increase in attack. That's stackable. Now imagine how much of a buff you can get if you keep on getting the healing in and it stacks 40% every time. So that's going to be our primary objective. The other thing is that I always think that the skill attack is something that we should get because it increases damage of your special ants. So let's keep these two in mind and make our path forward to try and get as many of the amazing talents we can while we get to these main ones. So obviously we're going to start here. We're going to get some defense. We're going to go here. We're going to get some attack. We get some control resistance as well. We get some Guardian Ant damage. We get some Guardian Ant defense. We get some more defense. Then we're going to get our scale attack, of course. And then we're going to get some combat speed. And by the way, I forgot to mention combat speed is also critical. And it just so happens it is on the way. And in most of the other videos, I've talked about the importance of combat speed. I didn't mean to forget to mention it this time, but getting this 20 combat speed is probably one of the most important things as well. So it's not only this one, there's also the combat speed that's pretty much as important, and of course scale attack, right? So you get that 20% combat speed, and then you get this boost in your attack every time you trigger a healing. So far, we've covered 44 out of the 48 talents we can assign. So that leaves us with 4 more to assign. And what personally I think we should do is this 8% defense is amazing. You only allowed 2 of them, so you get 16% there. And then you still have 2 more talents to assign. And I'm probably going to go with this attack right here, 6% attack. Or if you prefer defense, you could go with that as well. I'd probably choose attack if I were you, though. So that covers what the level 34 talents should look like. Essentially, you're getting everything that's on the way to get these 3 that I consider the most important: skill attack, combat speed, and that healing attack boost, let's say. And then the extras, we're using them to get some defense and some attack. Okay, so your talents at level 34 should look like this if you decided to follow our recommendations. And I'm just going to have this red highlighted there so you can get a snapshot if you want, if you prefer screenshots. Then we are going to go towards level 39, and we're still assuming you have healing in your unit. So the thing that changed between 34 and 39 is that you are given 7 extra talents to use. And by the way, if you jump directly to 39, maybe you should check out that 34 part as well. There's going to be a lot of overlap, so I might not go into as much detail when I'm talking about 39 and cover more of what I would change from the 34 build. So maybe jump back to 34, watch that one because that's going to be relevant here. So as I mentioned before, these 3 are extremely important. We want them regardless of if we have level 34, level 39, which means regardless if we have 48 talents or 55 talents to assign, I would still highly recommend these 3 very important talents. So essentially, just to get those, we are already used 44, which means we still have 11 more talents to assign. So how do we assign those 11 talents? Well, if you look here, there's health that you can get for your guardian ants, and I personally think health is a very important stat, especially if you're PvP focused, so you definitely want to be getting this. So we've cut out this for now. This we had assigned before, and we had also assigned the attack. Right now we aren't, we're at 44. We just went through this, and we have gotten the combat speed, we've gotten the skill attack, we've gotten this healing attack bonus as well, and we've gotten everything mandatory we needed to get before we could get them. We're at 44, we have 11 more to assign. So first of all, we're going to go through this. We're going to use up 4 of those 11, leaving us with 7 more, and then we come here and we get this whole thing because we want to get our 15% health. 15% health is a lot, definitely. By the way, this is a huge boost, which leaves us with 1 more talent to use. And you could either choose getting 4% attack, or you could get 8% defense. I'm not sure which one is better. Depends on your situation. Maybe the fact that you're getting an extra 4% defense as opposed to the attack might make this more favorable for you, because defense is an important stat, especially for guardians. So that's what I would do for level 39, and this is what your talent pool should look like were you to go with our recommendations. All right. So now we're going to assume you do not have any healing ants and you also do not have the stag beetle. Therefore, you do not have any healing in your unit, making this talent useless. So now we're going to go through what you should be getting instead. So at level 34, you're going to have 48 to use. These two are still extremely important. So combat speed is always critical, and then special and skill attack is also good. So we are going to follow the path that we mentioned earlier and essentially get the shortest path that we can to get the combat speed and the skill attack. So getting all this would use up approximately 36 talents out of the 48 that we have at level 34, which means that we still have about 12 more to use after we get through these two talents. So the 12 that I would use is, of course, there's this health over here. This gives you 15% health. I think that's extremely important. So we will make our path there. We can use 4 here and we're going to use the 6 here. That uses 10 more. So we still have 2 to choose from. And just like before, you can either choose the attack or the defense. And probably I'll go with the defense because it gives you 4% more. So, at level 34, if you do not have any healing effect in your team, which means by the way, you're using a jumping spider because Stag Beetle gives you the healing anyway. So, if you're using jumping spider at level 34 and you don't have any healing ants in your team, this is what your talent pool should look like. And now let's get back to level 39. So that gives you an additional 7 more to use. And out of those 7, well, if you chose the 2 over here before, you can use 4 of them over here, right? Giving you a little boost of an attack. So once you've done that, you are left with 3 more to use elsewhere. And those 3 you could potentially use to get some attack here and some defense here to essentially just utilize those talents in a way that would be useful. So at level 39, your talents could likely look like this. And that covers our video. I hope it was helpful for you. If you liked it, please like the video. Please subscribe to our channel. Check out our other videos as well. We have a lot of amazing videos now, so do check them out. And if you have other suggestions for other videos that we should be making, let us know. We have a large number of members who are extremely knowledgeable and they can actually help you out as well. By the way, before I end, I do want to give a lot of credit to Zizu for doing this research for me. I generally do this in the start, but today I am doing everything a little later than I usually do. So thank you so much, Zizu, for doing this research for me and helping me create this video. And I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye.